Welcome back to the final edition of the home buying process. I'm Reagan Burris with the Burris Group. Now the next step in the process is the purchase contract. Once we find that home, we're going to be submitting an offer. Now normally I would go through this entire contract with you, but in an effort to save time, I'm going to make a separate video that covers the contract, okay? So it is important for you to be familiar with it so that we can move quickly once we find that perfect home. Now, in addition to the offer, we're going to be submitting two checks, the earnest money and the option check. Now, the amount of the earnest money check is typically 1% of the sales price, and both these checks will be cashed, okay? They will both be cashed, and so I just want you to understand that they will be deposited within 72 hours of the offer being accepted. So now I said 1%, but if we fall in love with this property and it's a multiple offer situation, I'm going to encourage you to increase that earnest money deposit, okay? Now the reason being is if we come in $5,000 or $3,000 less, we already know the averages. We already know what the averages are, right? So if we come in under the average, well, we need to show something in the offer that is going to give us the leverage, right? So if you want to beat the seller up on price, well, why not increase the earnest money deposit to say 2% or more to give us the leverage we need? And of course, it will be my job to make certain that the contract is written so that the earnest money is always protected. All right. Now, the second check, the option check. Well, that is typically a $100 fee that you pay to the seller for the unrestricted right to terminate for a certain amount of time from the execution date. And usually that's 3 to 10 days, okay? Which this leads us to our next step, okay? Inspections. See, once we've got the home and we get it under contract, well, the very next step is to complete a home inspection, okay? We want to do our inspections during the option period. So if there's anything that shows up on the report that we want repaired, well, we can negotiate for that and we still have the right to terminate if we cannot agree. Now, the inspection, it's for major items only. That I'm talking about roof, plumbing, structure, safety type issues, right? It's not for, the carpet is dirty or I want a carpet allowance. Does that make sense? Now, see, I've seen so many buyers just like yourself out there. They find the perfect home and they lose out because they choose to step over dollars to pick up nickels. Now, what I mean by that is if, I'm able to negotiate a very good deal on a property, and generally speaking, we can beat the seller up on the list price or we can beat them up on inspection items, but it's difficult to do both, okay? So when I get you under contract and we've really done a good job of negotiating with the seller, chances are the deal might blow up if we ask for too many little things. Does that make sense? So now the next step, we are going to talk about the appraisal. Okay, now we've got the home under contract. We've completed our inspections. It's time to order the appraisal. Now, the cost of the appraisal is paid for by the buyer, and generally speaking, it's between $450, $500. Now, the best part of the appraisal is that you will not overpay for the property. The way that I'm going to write the contract, the appraisal provision will apply. Now, let's assume that we go under contract at $300,000. And the appraiser, well, it brings the value in at $290,000. Well, the way that we are going to have the contract written, the seller is going to have to adjust their price down to the appraised value, or you would be able to terminate the contract and get that earnest money back, okay? So let's talk about loan approval. there's a difference between pre-approved and full loan commitment. So now once you have full loan commitment, well, you really have reason to celebrate, because generally speaking, that is the last contingency of any contract, right? Now, let's talk about the closing and what's going to transpire there. So many of you have probably never been in a real estate closing before. Maybe it's been quite some time. So as you can imagine, there's going to be hundreds of documents flying around, and I've attended many real estate closings, okay? And my goal is for you to feel comfortable. So if there's something that you shouldn't be signing, I will stop the closing and I will pull you from outside the room and we will address the issues, okay? Well, I hope these videos have been informative and given you insight and an understanding into the home buying process. Now, please leave any questions and comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe, okay? You can also contact me directly. My number is 512-878-9943. And I'm Reagan Burris with the Burris Group. Thanks for watching.